The Ali Pali's taken a bit of a hammering online after the crowd jeered at teary Cameron Menzies on his way to defeat against Leonard Gates. There's the crowd at the darts getting out of hand. 03717 223344. Give us a call. Before we go to the callers, I've got a text here. I'm not sure who it's from, to be honest. It says, gents, did you watch the darts? And Menzies done this before. He's losing confidence and battling himself mid-game, his own mind, and not the fans' chance. The fans were relatively quiet last night until Menzies started pausing on stage and taking breaks between darts. Please don't suggest on national radio that the darts crowd was out of order last night, because it wasn't. The crowd was tame and relatively calm. Menzies didn't get emotional and struggle on stage due to the crowd. Anyone who watched and listened to the commentators will know that. However, a lot of people didn't watch and listen to this show and take it all in, when in fact that wasn't the case. I mean, he did get emotional. This was a match, by the way, I think it's worth just putting in perspective. He was expecting to win. He was a huge favourite going into this, and it was going wrong. But you do get concerns about his mental health. Let's put it that way. Look, let's get some views from a couple of callers. They're both called Kane. Let's go first to Kane, who's an Arsenal fan. Morning, Kane.
Morning, Kane.
Morning, gents. How's it going?
Great. Yourself, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Love the show.
So what did you make of last night? Were you there? Did you watch it?
I did watch it. I absolutely love the darts. I've been watching it for years, and I think it was an absolute disgrace. You could see by the end of that, when he was upset, people think he was just upset he was lost. For me, you could quite clearly see he was fighting a panic attack there. That's the levels he was pushed to. When I watch the darts, I want to see two players going at it. I want to see the best darts I can see. I want to see last leg deciders. I don't want to see one player basically being mentally battered into submission and not throwing his best darts because the crowd are all over him. And I think the crowd are going too far, and they're not darts fans, to be honest. They're there for the booze up.
Darts, to some degree, I would argue, Kane, is about mentality. It's about being there alone on the stage. It's eyeballs out, there's a camera right in your face, and there is a baying crowd.
Yeah, 100%, I do agree. And I know that people are going to have their favourites, and people are going to go with their favourites. But I think when people are throwing for doubles and they're having to deal with whistling and constant jeering, and I think it's just too much. I know that in any sport, people are going to have their favourites and the crowd are going to be against you, but I think it's just going too far. And people aren't being allowed to play their best games.
Have you been yourself, Kane, to the darts?
Yeah, many times. Yeah, I've been to the Premier League. I've been to Ali Pali. I've been to Lakeside. I've been to the Grand Slam. I've been to loads of darts.
Yeah.
Kane, thanks very much
Thanks
indeed
for your call,
for that.
mate. Appreciate it.
Let's hear from another Kane. This is Kane, the Manchester United fan. Kane, I think you've got a different perspective.
Yeah, I have. He was crumbling before he started crying. His doubles weren't going for him. And like the text has said, he's had problems with this before. And you can see it, definitely. But it was, I mean, the crowd, it was hard to watch. Very hard to watch. But I don't think the crowd were as bad as they have been.
Yeah, I mean, look, nobody wants to see anybody on stage in tears. Nobody wants to see anybody struggling the way that he did. But it's very hard, isn't it, Kane? You know, what do? You can't keep the entire crowd quiet.
No, that's it. I don't know how long they've all been there for. But as a professional darter, you've got to deal with that. It's been like that since it was in that pub back in the 90s. It's always been rowdy.
Well, I think you make a fair point as well, Kane. I think there's obviously a thin line, but this isn't unique to darts, for example. I already mentioned rugby players taking a penalty after a try. I was at a cup final on Sunday, and I can guarantee you, mate, there wasn't any quiet when people were taking penalties. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's the sport that you play. If you play golf and someone screams at you, you think, what are you doing? That's not what you do, but you're playing darts.
Yeah. Very different. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you very much,
Thanks, Kane.
Indeed, Kane. One more caller here, Jack, who's a Watford fan. Morning, Jack.
Morning, Jack.
Morning, gents. How are we doing?
Yeah, really good, thanks. What you got to say?
So I was there last night, actually.
Okay.
And I'm going on Wednesday. I've been for the last few years. And I sort of completely agree with that text that you had read in. You know, the crowd last night were nowhere near as bad as I've seen them in previous years. And I think we probably missed out a few key things on TV. But you know, probably it was after the first set. Menzies turned around and was giving it back to the crowd quite a lot.
Yeah.
which I feel, really played into the whole, people supporting Gates rather than Menzies. And ultimately, the standard was pretty, similar between the two. Menzies was just missing his checkouts and his doubles, and, ultimately, this is the pinnacle of darts. If you do miss a few doubles, you're going to get a bit of jeering, especially if the crowd are favouring the other person. So, obviously no one likes to see anyone get upset and get into tears, but I don't think that, the crowd went overboard last night, personally.
No.
Jack, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack.
Indeed, Charlie the Palace fan says, spare a moment for Gerwyn Price. He gets battered by the crowd.
Yeah.
And he handles it. Back on to...
I think Jack makes a good point. A lot of lads come up, they play in Aberdeen and Glasgow and places like that, and they get
a lot of
belters. Absolute. But some of them feed off it and thrive on it.
Yeah.
I remember speaking to the Power, was it last week or the week before? He said they used to go up and they used to give him it, but he loved it.
That's right. See, Phil Taylor would never get flustered.
No.
Never let the crowd get to him at all. And believe you me, as his run at the top went on, the more world titles he won, the more people wanted to see him beaten.
Correct.
It's just something in the British mentality, isn't it?
Of course it is. That's what we do.
He would never let the crowd get to him at all. Great mental strength. And that's what you need if you're going to be a top sportsman, I dare say.